Welcome back to the deep dive. If you, like many people, picture modern witchcraft as mostly, big spells or these elaborate moonlit rituals, well, get ready for a bit of a shift in perspective.
Hmm.
Our sources today, they really show that the core strength of modern practice, it's actually found in the small, uh, consistent, intentional things practitioners do every single day.
That's right.
So we're diving deep into the actual routines, looking past the, let's say, the stereotypes. We want to focus on how people really manage to weave mindfulness, spiritual connection, and intention into what's often a very busy life.
Yeah, it's about that integration.
Our mission here is pretty straightforward.
Hmm.
We want to distill the most, well, common and meaningful daily practices, the things people use to nurture that connection to themselves, to nature, and to what many call the unseen. Okay, let's unpack this. If the real aim is an integrated spiritual path, then this deep dive seems to show that it's these consistent daily acts, powered by mindfulness, that really form the foundation.
Precisely. And I think the critical insight here is that witchcraft, for a lot of modern folks, it's about making spirituality, well, routine, integrated, not something complicated or just safe for special occasions, you know.
Right, not just Sabbats or full moons.
Exactly. It's more about aligning with this constant flow of energy. Think of it like daily exercise, building physical strength. These simple, repeated habits, they build spiritual strength over time.
Okay, so if we're talking about setting the tone for the day, there's really no better place to start than the morning, is there?
Nope.
Our sources kept highlighting how those first moments are treated as sacred time. So how exactly do practitioners ground themselves, establish focus, especially when, the alarm's just gone off and life is rushing in?
Well, it often starts immediately, like before the noise of the world really creeps in. A really core practice seems to be speaking affirmations or intentions out loud. And this isn't just like wishful thinking, it's treated as a kind of linguistic spell. So by saying something like, I walk in balance and power today, you're actively directing your own energy, your consciousness, towards that state. It's like programming your mindset for the day.
That sounds very proactive, like energetic preparation, instead of just, I don't know, passively grabbing your phone first thing.
Exactly that. Replacing maybe an old habit with a new intentional one. And for guidance, a quick daily active divination is super common.
Like a full tarot spread.
Oh no, not usually. We're often talking about something much simpler, like pulling just a single tarot or oracle card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just offers maybe a theme or a point for reflection, maybe some insight into the day's potential energy, gives you something specific to be mindful of as you go.
I really appreciate how accessible these practices sound. It's not about finding a whole hour, but maybe just, 3 minutes.
Exactly.
Our sources even talked about how routine things like making coffee can become intentional acts.
They really do. Take the simple act of boiling water for tea or coffee. One person shared that they use those few minutes while the kettle boils as their dedicated visualization time.
Really? Just those couple of minutes.
Yeah, using deep breaths, maybe imagining a protective white light surrounding them, sort of creating an energetic shield for the day ahead.
Okay.
The goal is merging the magic right into the mundane routine you're already doing.
And the tea itself, then, can become part of it. We touched on herbal teas used as spell work. What makes a cup of chamomile, magical rather than just relaxing?
It's absolutely the intention behind the selection and the preparation. So if you feel you need clarity for, say, a difficult meeting, you might consciously choose peppermint and then focus your intent for clarity right into the brewing process as you make it.
Okay.
Or if you're seeking emotional calm, you'd reach for chamomile with that specific intention in mind. You're essentially turning a simple drink into a focused, ingestible spell, basically, that supports your goal.
So the morning really sets up that internal personal focus.
Yeah.
Once that internal setting is more aligned, where do practitioners then anchor that energy physically? Let's talk about the altar, the dedicated sacred space.
Right, the physical anchor.
Here's where it gets really interesting. What's the actual practical role of an altar in daily life? Because our sources insist it's not just, a shelf with cool-looking objects. It's a working tool.
It is absolutely a working tool and a really crucial focal point. Altars are defined as these sacred spaces, but the key is they require like daily interaction to maintain that connection.
Maintain it. How so?
Well, think of the objects you might place there. Crystals, statues, candles, not just as displays, but almost like spiritual batteries. They need to be recharged and kept aligned through daily focused attention. It's seen as a reciprocal relationship. You tend to it, it supports you.
Ah, That idea of reciprocal energy, the maintenance itself is part of the practice, that seems really key.
It is, because that maintenance, that small act of attention, it confirms and strengthens your connection to whatever energy you're working with or trying to channel.
Hmm.
One of the most common symbolic acts is just lighting a single candle daily.
Just one candle.
Often, yeah. That small flame becomes a really potent symbol maybe for clarity, devotion, protection, whatever the intent is, and it acts as a kind of constant, quiet reminder throughout the day.
What other kinds of daily interactions keep that altar space active?
Acts of simple gratitude are huge.
Hmm.
This can be really accessible, like offering a small glass of fresh water, maybe a piece of fruit, or just a sprinkle of dried herbs to ancestors or deities or spirits represented there.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging that unseen support, maintaining that energetic relationship. Practitioners also often take time to regularly refresh or cleanse their tools, like crystals, maybe resetting them to ensure their energy stays clear and aligned with whatever they're currently working on.
And, for those listening who maybe live in a small apartment or don't have a lot of space, our sources were pretty clear that the intention matters more than the size, right?
Absolutely. A sacred space is defined by its purpose, not its square footage. A small shelf, a corner of a desk, even just a windowsill can function as a really potent personal altar. It's the intention you bring to dedicating that space that holds the power, much more than, how grand it looks.
That sets us up perfectly, actually, for the next big question. How do you weave all this into life when there maybe isn't time for a formal ritual every day? Let's talk about mindful magic in the mundane, integrating it right into the daily grind.
Yeah, this is where the magic becomes really fluid, almost invisible sometimes. Charm work is pretty essential here, like wearing specific jewelry, a ring, a necklace that has been intentionally enchanted or consecrated for a specific purpose.
Right, for protection.
Exactly. Protection or confidence or maybe attracting love. It basically turns your accessories into portable magical tools that you carry with you through your day.
And practitioners also use symbols, right? You mentioned sigils. Well, for anyone listening who isn't familiar, what exactly is a sigil and how would someone use it day to day?
Okay, so a sigil, it's essentially a unique, often abstract symbol that you create yourself. It's designed to represent a specific, sometimes complex intention, maybe financial success or finding inner peace, something like that.
Right.
Once you create and activate it, the idea is they're quite potent because they kind of bypass your conscious analytical mind. So the daily practice might involve drawing it, maybe carrying it on a piece of paper in your wallet, or even like quickly drawing it on your skin with a pen where it won't be seen. It's about keeping that specific energy active.
But say you're carrying a symbol for prosperity.
Hmm.
How do you stop that from just becoming like a lucky charm you forget about? How does it stay an intentional, magical act?
That's a great question. And that's where the mindfulness piece is crucial. The idea is that when the practitioner touches the sigil or even just consciously remembers it's there, they take maybe just a micro moment to refocus on the original intention behind it.
Huh. So they aren't just relying on the symbol itself to do all the work, they're using it as a trigger, a reminder for their own focused will and energy. And we definitely can't overlook kitchen magic. This is probably one of the most accessible forms of daily practice because, well, everyone has to eat, right? And here, even the direction you stir your food can matter.
Okay, tell us about the directional stirring. What's the logic there?
It's all about energy flow. So stirring clockwise, or dianosal, is generally used for manifestation for bringing things into your life, drawing energy towards you, aligning with active sort of solar energy.
Okay, drawing in.
Right. Conversely, stirring counterclockwise, or widdershins, is used for banishing, releasing, or reducing unwanted energy. It's seen as a drawing back or a dissolving force.
Interesting.
It also includes this simple but actually quite profound act of consciously blessing your food before you eat it, just taking a moment to infuse it with gratitude or intentions for health and nourishment. So again, it's translating a kind of macro magical idea into a tiny physical movement, turning making dinner into, well, an active spell.
Precisely. And the last piece in this section really is nature connection. And you don't need to live near a forest for this. The magic is in the mindfulness.
How so?
Simple acts like just tending to your houseplants or pausing for literally 60 seconds to notice the quality of the light or the clouds in the sky, or taking a walk where you're consciously paying attention to the natural world around you. These are all considered acts of magical alignment. They keep the practitioner tuned in, synced up with the earth's rhythms.
That kind of seamless integration really brings us to the end of the day. Just as important as setting the tone in the morning seems to be consciously winding down, maybe cleansing the energy you've picked up. What practices help with release and renewal in the evening?
Yeah, the evening definitely focuses more on reflection and release. A key practice is journaling. Practitioners often dedicate time to what they might call their book of shadows, which is basically just a personal magical journal or logbook. And they'll record things like any interesting signs they noticed during the day, significant dreams from the night before, or any intuitive insights they had. This process actively strengthens their magical awareness over time, helps them spot patterns.
And then after the reflection, you mentioned cleansing.
Yes, cleansing is seen as really vital for releasing any lingering negativity or energy that doesn't really belong to them picked up during the day.
Mhm.
This is often done using smoke, like from sage, Palo Santo, or even just incense, or sometimes through sound, like ringing a bell, to clear the energy of their personal space and maybe their own aura.
Okay.
And there's also often a nod to moon connection, even if it's brief. Just taking a moment to step outside or look out the window, observe the current moon phase, and maybe reflect for a second on how that particular lunar energy felt in their life that day.
Connecting the small daily experience to the bigger cycle.
Exactly. It connects their personal daily world to the macro cycle happening above them. And of course, the day often closes with gratitude, thanking maybe specific deities or ancestors or just spirit in general for protection and guidance received. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole evening process, it's really explicitly designed to sort of dismantle the energy of the day, ensuring a state of calm and clarity. It promotes, ideally, true spiritual rest and renewal, getting you ready for the next cycle the next morning.
That daily rhythm sounds really comprehensive. But as you mentioned, life isn't static. Things change. How do these consistent daily practices actually shift or adjust when you factor in the broader, larger natural cycles, like the seasons changing or the moon phases?
This is where the practice really gains, I think, a lot of its depth. The daily intentions, they don't exist in a vacuum. They flow directly into these macro cycles. Practitioners often pay really close attention to the lunar phases, for instance, because that's seen as dictating the type of energy best suited for their daily work.
Okay, can you give us maybe a concrete example of how that shift works between the phases?
Absolutely. So during the waxing moon, that's when the moon is visibly growing. From new moon towards full, the daily practices will often center on growth, on manifestation, on bringing new things into being.
Right, building up.
Exactly. So your morning affirmations might focus specifically on increasing abundance or drawing opportunity. Conversely, when the moon is waning, shrinking from full back towards dark, the daily practices typically shift focus. They center more on release, perhaps banishing negative habits, clearing out clutter, both physical and energetic, letting go of what no longer serves the goals maybe set during the waxing phase.
So the intention behind, say, stirring your tea clockwise or counterclockwise, or the theme of your journal entry, that might actually change depending on whether the moon is growing or shrinking that week.
Precisely. The outward action, the ritual, might look the same, but the inner intention, the why behind it, changes completely based on the timing. And furthermore, practitioners also often align their daily work with the Sabbats. Those are the 8 major festivals spread throughout the wheel of the year, marking the high points of the changing seasons.
Okay, like Samhain or Beltane.
Exactly, those points. Around these festivals, the daily rituals often start to incorporate specific seasonal elements. For instance, during the winter months, daily intentions might focus more on introspection, rest, maybe seed planting metaphorically for spring. You might use warming herbs like cinnamon or ginger in your tea with that intent.
And in summer.
In summer, the focus naturally shifts to outward activity, growth, maybe harvesting the results of earlier work. You might use herbs associated with the sun, like calendula or St. John's wort, in your daily practices. So consciously attuning your daily life to these natural cycles, it really deepens the spiritual rhythm and that feeling of connection to the Earth's energy.
So what does this all mean? When we look at the final thoughts from our sources, they really seem to drive home the mission we started with, don't they? That these practices, they aren't about demanding perfection from yourself or some kind of, theatrical performance.
Not at all.
It seems to be entirely about continuous consistency, having a sharp intention behind the action, and just being actively present in those small moments. Every micro act, whether it's lighting that one candle or stirring your tea with focus or just taking a second to really see the sky, it becomes a thread in this larger, carefully tended magical tapestry.
Yeah, the final synthesis really seems to be that spiritual resilience, like physical resilience, it's built through that continuous, consistent effort. Witchcraft, in this very modern, integrated context, it looks like a daily dance. A dance of energy, spirit, and your own conscious intention. You build that spiritual strength by weaving the magic right into the fabric of your everyday life. It's the small, intentional commitments that seem to hold the greatest power.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener.
If the simple, consistent act of, say, blessing your food before you eat, or stirring your morning coffee with a specific intention can be considered spell work, well, how much of your current ordinary routine could actually be transformed just by consciously changing the intention behind it? Maybe take a moment today to observe your own routines through this lens of potential daily mindfulness.